Hey folks, and welcome back. You know, if you're trying to learn to play guitar like I am, yeah, that's what I said. There's some chords that you're going to need to know if you want to play songs, if you want to play music, and you're going to have to learn how to switch between them. And we're going to do that. We're going to add to our chord knowledge today. We're going to learn two new chords. One of them is going to be G major, and the other is going to be E minor. Both of those are used in a lot of songs. So let's get this thing going and let's learn those chords today. Come join me. Like I said, we're going to learn two new chords today, and they're going to help us move towards actually playing some music on the guitar. I know that a lot of people that are watching my channel are beginners and they want to learn how to play the guitar. I am still in a beginner mode, even though I do know some things, but I want to pass along to you what I've learned. So maybe your journey can get a little bit easier. So we're going to learn two new chords today. They're going to be the G major. The G major is not a really hard chord to learn, but the fingering can be a little bit hard because there's some space between your fingers. And it depends on which fingers you want to use. Now, like I have done in the past with my videos, I do recommend learning chords with more than one finger set, because sometimes it comes into play when you're playing other chords and it makes it easier to switch to them if you're using different fingers. Kind of got to think a little bit ahead there. So if we're going to learn to play the G major chord, you're going to see the diagram for the chord right here. I'm going to post it on the video right here so you can take a look at it. And when we come to the E major, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to also attach those diagrams to the video down in the description. So if you want to download those diagrams so you can refer back to them if you're having a hard time remembering where your fingers go and what fingers go where, they'll be there for you. Now you'll notice that in the diagrams there's little black dots. And the way that is set up, the top of the guitar is on the left-hand side, the bottom of the guitar is on the right-hand side, and it's numbered for your fingers. Now, that's a normal numbering of the fingers that you would normally use when you're learning guitar, but you can learn chords using different fingers, and like I said, sometimes it does benefit when you're moving up the neck, especially like bar chords. When you learn to play an E chord, if you learn to play it a different way than what you're normally taught in lessons, it helps you move up the neck a whole lot faster. So let's talk about that G chord. So, pardon that creaky noise. It's this cheap chair I'm in, but I got to get a new one. So let's talk about that G chord. All right, so we're going to use these three fingers. In my case, you may see me use 4 fingers, or you may see me use every finger but this finger, every finger but my ring finger. And it's because of the way I like to play the G chord. It helps transition into a D the way I do it. So what I'm saying is, once again, you may want to learn it with different fingers. So we're going to put the first finger on the 2nd fret, the 5th string. Remember, our strings are numbered from 1 at the bottom, which is your thinnest string, to 6 at the top. I don't know why. I've always wondered that. It seems like to me the closest thing to my face would be number 1 and going down would be number 6, but it's completely opposite when it comes to the guitar. It's been taught that way for years, and it's going to continue to be taught that way. And I'm going to do that as well so you don't get confused. So we take our index finger, we put it on the 5th string at the 2nd fret. Okay? We take our middle finger, we put it on the 3rd fret, the 6th string, which is the thickest string on the guitar, or the top string closest to your face. We take our ring finger and we place it on that same 3rd fret on the 1st string, which is also an E string, is the thinnest string. And this is our G chord. G chord, okay? Now you may see when I play a G chord, sometimes I'll play it with my pinky involved. Okay, I'll play with my pinky involved, and the reason for that is there's what they call a 3-finger G and what they call a 4-finger G. If you use a 4-finger G, you take your ring finger and put it on the second string, 3rd fret, and it makes it a little bit more rounded. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here is the regular G that we learned. Here's the 4-finger G. You hear that little bit ding, that little bit of ring in there? Just makes the G a little bit prettier in my opinion. That's the way I like to play it. And plus, if I'm going to switch to a D chord, my finger's already in place for that D chord by using the ring finger there. Okay, so that is our G chord. Now let's move on to our second chord that we're going to learn today. That is going to be the E minor chord. Excuse me. This is probably one of the most easiest chords you're going to learn. It's a 2-finger chord. You're usually going to be taught this chord using the 1st and 2nd finger, your index finger and your middle finger. But once again, you may want to learn it different ways. You may want to learn it with these two fingers. You may want to learn it with these two fingers. And you may want to learn it with these two fingers. And the reason is, when we're moving up and down that fretboard, different ways of fingering chords makes it easier. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a moment. We won't dive into it too deeply, but I will show it to you, okay? So we're going to learn our E minor chord. We take our first finger, we put it on the 2nd fret, the 4th string. We take our middle finger, we put it on the 2nd fret, 5th string. That is E minor. You can also play it with the next set of fingers. This is one of the easiest chords to use to learn to use different fingers, because it only requires 2 fingers and they're very close together. There's no stretch out, anything like that. So it can help you learn to use different fingers when learning your chords. So if we use the last 2 fingers, okay, that is my pinky and my ring finger, E minor. Now there's a good reason to learn it this way. And I've shown this in a different video. It makes bar chords a whole lot easier. So if I learn E minor this way, and I learn E by just putting down my middle finger, okay, now I've got an E chord, right? E minor, E chord, okay? If I slide that up 1 without changing any of the shape, just sliding it all up 1 fret, well, that sounds absolutely terrible. But if I take my index finger and I lay it across that 1st fret, my index finger now takes the place of the nut. So my finger is now the nut, and we have the F chord. So this is what I'm saying. If you learn your E minor using your ring finger and your pinky finger, just like that, it's going to make your bar chords a whole lot easier to learn when you get there, because it's already in the shape that you need. Then I can just slide it. And you can see it makes it so much easier. Okay guys, like I said, I have put the diagrams up in the corner for you as we were going through those. I have attached them down in the description where you can download a copy of them and you can refer back to them if you're having trouble remembering what the fingering is. What I want you to do over the next period of time before we come together for another video is work on these chords and work on switching from them. Work on switching from that E minor to that G and back to the E minor. We've got to start working on switching our chords if we're going to play music, and we've got to learn how to switch them easily and fluently, which means they can go quickly, okay? Because if we're playing music and we go, okay, see, now we've lost the whole beat of the music. So work on those chords, work on changing them back and forth, do it as much as you need. It always makes you feel good when you get something down. Listen, I got a real suggestion. I was thinking of it last night as I was sitting there with my guitar in my hand playing some. When you practice your guitar, one thing to always work towards is to practice what you're trying to learn and then end your practice. I'm done for the day. I'm not going to do any more. Another 2 minutes worth is what I'm doing. To end your practice with something that you know, something that you're good at. Okay, something that makes you feel confident. Hey, I knocked that out. I did it good. End your practice on a high note, a good note. I don't mean musical note. I mean a good point, a good place. So you knocked it out of the park. That's how I always end my practice, something like that. And it's just going back over chords that I know and making sure I'm fluent and I'm fast with them, fast with my changes. But it makes me feel good when I end my practice with something that sounds musical. If you're trying to do your chords and you get some buzzing, if you get some buzzing, just keep working on it. Just keep practicing, okay? So end your note, end your day, your practice on a high note, on something that sounds good, something that you like. Listen, folks, I really appreciate you joining me for this video. My name is JT. I've created this place that I'm learning the guitar, and I want you to come learn the guitar with me. I want to build a community where we can come together and we can ask questions of each other. We can share videos if you want to, and try to learn together. This is a hard road when you first start out to learn the guitar, but it's very rewarding if you stick with it. So I invite you to come over to the main channel. I invite you to subscribe, ring the little bell, so you know when new videos come out, and join us. I want us all to learn the guitar together. This is a great hobby. Listen, guys, if you have any questions, drop them down there in the comments for me. I'll be, as people who have commented on my videos before will see, I respond to them. So if you got anything for me, drop it down there. And listen, I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you on the next video, okay? Bye-bye.